What's going on, guys? It's your boy Jay Ridge, back for another NBA Best Bets presented by Pinnacle Sportsbook. Your trusted sportsbook for the past 25 years. We have Game 3 between the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics kicking off on Wednesday. The Celtics take a 2-0 lead to Dallas, and for some reason, the Mavs are favored in Game 3. We will get into that in a little bit, but I am so excited because they've already been a tight and very exciting finals. But let's get into the Game 3 best bets right now. So as you guys can see, here's some of the major markets for Game 3, and there's one thing you're going to notice. Dallas is favored in this game. Interesting. Dallas is favored over the Boston Celtics, who are favored by 6.5 and 7 points. And honestly, you probably could have got a 6.5 in Game 2, and they would have covered that spread. I believe the spread did finally close at 7, but Boston won and essentially covered or pushed, depending on how you feel about it, in Game 1 and 2. And now, Dallas is favored by 2 points. I really woke up this morning and really wanted to take Dallas. But the biggest problem for me is I expected the Celtics to be favored by 1.5. I understand the Mavs are on home court. They've been pretty good at home, but they're only 5-3 in the playoffs this year. The Boston Celtics, 6-0 in the postseason on the road. So that's where it's a little bit concerning. Now, the big takeaway, the Mavs have won every Game 3 they've played in, but at home, they still have not played particularly well. So the Game 3s that have been at home, they've won every single one, but playing at home in general, they've been a little more susceptible, especially when you compare it to Boston, who's 6-0 on the road this postseason, and they're not favored in this game. It's not that I don't think Dallas can win, but if I'm betting on a team to win, and we talked about this last week, you bet on the team to win the game or cover the spread. If you're betting on the home team who's favored, you bet the spread because you're going to get more money for what you put in. And if you're betting the underdog, you simply bet the money line because chances are, if they're going to cover that spread, they're going to win the game. And Boston, if they win the game, of course, will cover the spread. And so when you're giving me a -125 to take Dallas or a +114 to take Boston, and I honestly do believe both these teams have an equal shot to win the game, give me the Celtics. I don't understand how, from a betting perspective, you don't believe that Boston has a very similar chance to win this game as the Mavericks do. You look at the team totals, 106.5 for both. What does that tell you? Yeah, there's a little bit juice to one side or the other, but the line is literally the same. It is the exact same because there is a very similar chance in the median projections that both these teams end up right around the same number. So even if you take the Mavs -2, there's a chance they don't necessarily cover that number because the game may be that close. And I just think the value here is on the Celtics. I still think the Mavs can win the game. They have been very strong in Game 3s. Their first game at home, they've been phenomenal. But Boston has been great on the road, and we can't take that away from them. And we can't take away from the fact that they simply dominated the Mavericks in Game 1, and they wore them down to ultimately win the game in Game 2 as well. How do they perform on the road? That's a big question mark playing in Dallas. But history has shown us, even if you're going to give them the poor competition, they have played quite well. And that's another reason why I like the Boston Celtics team total over 106.5. I think they can beat the Mavericks. I think they can outscore the Mavericks. And if they're going to do that, they're probably going to go over this total. And if you're going to give me +104 on a team total for the Celtics, more than happy to take it because I do believe they can win the game. This game, in terms of the over-under, It's difficult because the first two did go under, but this could be one of the more high-scoring affairs. We know that Boston can score. They've shown that, putting up 107, 105 in each of the 2 games so far. But then you have the Mavericks, who struggled, especially when you're talking about Kyrie. He struggled. The role players have struggled. We've seen great things from Boston on pretty much all levels outside of Jason Tatum, and he's still done a great job facilitating. But I believe if you're taking a team to go over, you want to take the Boston Celtics. They are the better value, in my opinion. These are the 2 bets that I've been looking at, and it's very difficult for me to not take them. I like the Mavs in the game. Of course, I believe they have a shot to win. But if you're giving me $100, I don't necessarily want to put that money on the Mavs because I think the Celtics could easily be +105, even +100. It's really just for some reason, bettors are still all on the Mavs. They were on the Mavs in game 1. That didn't work out. I'm sure they were on the Mavs in game 2. That didn't really work out. So you look now and you say, are they really should be favored in this game? I don't know. That's where you kind of lose me a little bit in the breakdown of this game with the Celtics being so good on the road. And then the other bet I do really like that I wanted to pull up is the Jrue Holiday rebounds. I mean, they're minus 160 at 5.5, but they're still a great bet. But the other one I wanted to show you that's a bit, wow, this line has already moved a lot. It was minus 114 when I was looking at it no more than 20 minutes ago. It's now minus 135. The points, rebounds, and assists for Jrue Holiday is a phenomenal line. He only had 12 points in the first game, but has had 8 or more rebounds in each of his last 3 playoff games, going back to even the Indiana series. He's been a phenomenal rebounder for the Celtics. I think that will only continue. Jrue's been a great asset to this team. You look at the upgrade he's provided them to basically take over that Marcus Smart role and then add on it because of how good he's been so far this postseason. But this is just what I'm looking at right now. I think these are the kind of bets that we should be targeting. If you guys do want to talk a little bit of NBA Finals MVP, there's nothing on Pinnacle right now, but Jason Tatum has gone up a little bit. He's around plus 125, plus 135 or so. And then if you took that number on Jaylen Brown, which I believe was like an 8-1, he's all the way down to plus 130, maybe plus 160 or so, depending on where you look. So this is going to be really close. This will be a big game for those NBA Finals MVP tickets, because if Boston does win, that basically puts them in the driver's seat to ultimately win the series, at which point it's probably going to be Tatum or Brown. And the dark horse here is still Jrue Holiday, because Jrue Holiday was like, I think 50-1 or 80-1 to initially win the MVP. And now he's all the way down from like that number to 8-1 to like 6-1, I think is the lowest that I've seen him. So if he continues to stack some good games, I mean, maybe there's a chance that he could win Finals MVP, but still for me, and I think for a lot of people, it's Brown or Tatum. And it's nice to see that Brown has closed that gap, because we did take a little bet on Brown, and it is looking very good right now. Hopefully he can squeeze it out and get past Tatum, because Tatum has been very good. But I think ultimately these games in Dallas are going to determine who wins that Finals MVP, because we know they can get it done at home, but on the road is where your best players need to play their best. And in my opinion, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum can get it done in Game 3 and Game 4. Do they ultimately win both these games? Probably not, but I think they can win at least one of 2, and I'm happy to take them at plus 114 for Game 3. So that's it for me. Quick recap of the NBA Finals Game 3 best bets. We're taking the Boston Celtics on the money line, plus 114. We're also taking their team total over 106.5 at plus 104. And last but not least, we're taking Jrue Holiday points, rebounds, and assists over 23.5 at minus 135. And I also like the rebounds at 5.5, minus 160. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can follow me on Twitter or X at your boy Jay Rich, and make sure you're following Pinnacle across all of our socials. Good luck betting on the NBA Finals, and I will see you guys next week if there's a Game 6. I'm out. Peace.